A lot of practices, all kinds of things we have to get right, builds, automated, continuous integration, daily releases. These all sound like huge problems to solve. Not only that, architecture and code, loosely coupled, stateless, microservices, all these wonderful things. Code reviews built right into your continuous integration process. All these wonderful things need to happen. This is very hard. The good news is, this is not business rule specific. So people don't have to understand how your organization works to come help you do this. It's an engineering problem, much of this. And it's like a plumber. Okay, you get the plumber in, helps you fix the plumbing, and then goes away again. So in this kind of space, we can get off-the-shelf solutions, and we can get contracted experts to help us solve some of these point solutions. You want to get people in, help you automate your testing, and when the testing has been automated, well, it's automated now, so they can leave. Okay, so it's a good space in which to get budget, scale up, and speed the transition. A bit of bad news maybe is that to succeed at this, you need to convince your organization that 20% of your innovative capacity and budget must be dedicated towards continuous improvement of the concept to cash value chain. And in most organizations, this is a very hard sell. Okay, but this is what's necessary. So let's look a bit at organizational structures and processes in this kind of space. Let me take you through an example of what I call the old co-insurance company. Many of these insurance companies in South Africa are consisting of companies that they bought in the past, and they've got all these disparate systems, and they were able to cope with that by having these non-digital channels. So if you have different products, that's fine, just make different phone numbers, and people will phone the right people who understand these products. Maybe the branch person is being trained and can do swivel chairing to be able to use this. The call center can have different applications. The customer is unaware of the big mess that's behind this wall that you've created in front of the customer. Unfortunately, these insurance and the financial services companies are not experiencing this world anymore. The world we have today is that the customer is at the center of the organization, and you want a single view of this customer. The customer is involved in some business process with your organization. And they don't care which channel they come in through. Whatever channel they come in through, they want a consistent experience of the current business process that they are involved in. And they want to do this across all of your products. Okay, so tricky. And then you have your shared services. And then really, who's going to coordinate all this stuff? So it's coordinated interactions for customers with consistency in business processes across all of your products. So what should we build? What should we not build? What's priority? What's not priority? And in many organizations, you're starting to see these segment folks popping out the woodwork. You know, the customer value proposition folks, customer centricity and all that. That is trying to figure out what should we do with this integrated landscape that we now have to contend with because of that little bold digital word there. We cannot hide complexity from our customers anymore. If you want to hide complexity, start different brands. If you don't want to do different brands, you have to solve the complexity problem. And it must be a smooth process for your customer. It doesn't matter what channel they come in through. So this is a massive organizational change. It's like going from yourself and a couple of mates, going on a raiding party on the village next door, all the way through to being able to coordinate D-Day. Hundreds of thousands of soldiers with different skills in a coordinated fashion invading enemy territory. This is a massive increase in organizational complexity, and requirements on coordination and command and control are enormous. And organizations are struggling with this everywhere. And this is a power game that's happening as well. So if you look at this, some organizations are quite the way down to accepting that segments are going to call the customer value proposition and priority calls. Others are still very much strong in the product space, and this power battle is happening in organizations in South Africa right now. And your IT organizations are sort of experiencing this. You know, who's making the shots? Who's calling the shots? So this is definitely an environment in which you will be finding yourself. So there are things like, so what do you have? Do you have mercenaries that don't really trust each other, all involved in small battles, all messing up the effort of the whole war? Or do you have a standing army engaged in a continuous orchestrated invasion? Because that's what's necessary. Your organization's innovative capacity must be like a standing army involved in a continuous, never-ending invasion of the future. This is what I see a lot in South African organizations. There's still a bit of the who shouts loudest approach, which is not so great when you're really invading foreign territory. What I also see a lot of hippos, the highest paid person's opinion. Okay, see a lot of this around organizations still. And what they tend to do is they tend to ignore brains, and they tend to ignore data, and they tend to say, we will attack over there. And everyone involved knows that they're all going to die. Okay, but they attack anyway. So organizations, you know, war is you can't mess up like that. People die. To be frank, in organizations, leadership and executives can get away with making bad decisions and ignoring the brains in data in their organizations. But in the competitive landscape we're in today, where the concept to cash value chain is the one that makes the difference, you cannot get away with that anymore. You have to pay attention to the brains and data in your organization. Okay, so I don't really care which kind of agile lean approach you use. I don't really care. So, but if we look at something called Scaled Agile Framework, I'm just going to tell you what this is really all about. So let's say you're Queen Victoria's favorite general, and as she's wont to do, she asks you, would you please be so kind as to conquer the entire world? And she being the queen, you're going to give it your best shot. So what are you going to do? Are you going to attack Spain, France, Germany, Italy, all at the same time? No. You'll die. What do organizations do? They love attacking Spain, France, Italy, and Germany all at the same time. And then they're shocked when everyone dies. Okay? So we have to stop doing that. We can't do this. And this is this whole portfolio level at the top. That's what this is about. It's about massive force and economy of force, about areas you're not going to attack right now. And if you don't get that right, you mess up the innovative capacity of your entire organization. Okay, you destroy your efficiency in the concept to cash cycle. Okay, so let's decide France first. That's a good first decision. We're not going to attack everyone, we're going to attack France. Great, here we go. So we've got a rough plan. We're going to sort of come from the north, the west, and the south. We're getting our generals in place, and there's going to be cavalry, artillery, and whatever else we're going to need. And we're going to set up this invasion force. That's what this piece is about. It's setting up your invasion forces. What are all the people that are necessary to plan this invasion, and what are all the pieces that I need to get into place so that we can have a well-orchestrated, efficient invasion of the future in this specific area? And then we attack. And no plan survives contact with the enemy. So what we need to have in place are efficient command and control structures so that we can adapt what is going on based upon information from the real world. And this is setting up the next level of this whole process. It's the bottom, the teams over here, and all the feedback cycles that are necessary. So what these kind of frameworks are really all about is to set up the kind of organization for you that is good at excellence in the face of extreme uncertainty. It's essentially setting up an invasion force that invades the future for you. And many organizations in South Africa are starting to do this reasonably well in pockets. But there are many, many areas where they have invasion forces which are going across and against each other. We're metricing people at cross purposes. And there's a huge amount of work still to do in South Africa. And once you put these areas together, as Werner Vogel said of Amazon CTO, if you build it, you run it. So something that happened, I think, about 4 or 5 years ago in quite a number of financial organizations in South Africa is the decision was taken to centralize infrastructure. Okay, so it's computers and putting them into racks. How hard can it be? So what I do experience in many organizations in South Africa is incredible frustration with these centralized IT functions. And these folks have been essentially set up for failure. Why? Because you don't centralize anything where there's complexity left inside it. If you centralize stuff with complexity left inside it, you're going to get a mess. Okay, so if you've taken all the complexity out, and it's a little recipe, then you can automate and scale it, like Amazon Web Services. But if you didn't do that and you centralize, you have a big problem. And as we go through this massive change that we're going to be going through for the next couple of years in enabling continuous delivery, we need to decentralize more of those functions to enable these you build it, you run it groups to take us through this journey. So that's a critical part as well. And lastly, culture and mindset. This is about solving problems. These are the kind of values that you need in organizations. Honesty, fact-based, transparency, openness, trust. If you want to solve problems, people must be able to talk about problems. I see a lot of this in South Africa still, though. Pathological organizations, power-oriented, very low cooperation between departments. In fact, you know who the enemies are, and they know that you're their enemy. Okay, I see this a lot in South Africa still. Low cooperation, messengers are shot. Okay, the folks, when failure occurs, we don't go and do root cause analysis, we find a scapegoat. Okay, it's them, they're rubbish. But we don't delve into the real issue that's causing this. And the real issue might be the executive that's causing this. But nobody's going to go there. Okay. What do we find as well? You know, find bureaucratic organizations. They at least have rules. Okay. So messengers are sort of tolerated. But they're not liked because we have these rules, and the rules are awesome. And whenever you come and tell us something, we have to change the rules. And we don't like changing our rules. It's very difficult for us. It sounds like hard work. Failure, at least we don't have a scapegoat. Failure leads to justice. Okay. If you made a mistake, we will find you and we will deal with you appropriately. So in this journey, in this uncertain future which we're going into, that is a very bad culture to have in your organization. What you really want is high cooperation. Messengers are trained. Leaders and managers and teams spend their times telling everyone, please tell us everything that doesn't work. Please tell us every bad decision you think has been made. Tell us everything, because if you don't tell us, we can't do something about it. Okay, failure leads to inquiry. Now, you know, I can tell you now that there are quite a number of, if not organizations, departments which are way on the left-hand side of this cultural, view. So this has to change. And can you impact culture directly? Can we send an email and say we're going to have this culture tomorrow morning? No. Can we impact behavior directly? We can try to impact behavior. So if you don't collaborate, I'm going to give you a warning. Okay. This year we're going to institute the collaboration bonus. If you collaborate, I'll pay you. Okay, so you can try these things, but they're not really that great. What really works is actions, changing people's actions, and giving them their space and the knowledge and the tools and techniques to be able to change their actions. But they must be supported to change their actions. So if you walk around your organization and you see boards and sticky notes and things like that, people talking to each other, putting stuff on the walls, don't have facilities come along and say, excuse me, what are you doing? This is a quiet area. We need to concentrate here. People are working. Please stay quiet. Okay? Not good. Your organization is killing its innovative capacity. You're not allowing people to start to take on different actions. We like to put leaders and teams in rooms together because that changes their actions. When the leader says, this will go live by August, and the whole room is entirely silent, maybe they will realize that something's going on, okay? Maybe they'll listen to the brains and data in their organization. So what you need is a transformational leader, purpose-driven, walk the talk, idealized influence, okay? You need inspirational motivation and consideration and intellectual stimulation. You basically need to be a genuine person that cares about what's going on and be prepared to solve problems. So this is it. These are the 4 areas you need to focus on. Is it easy? Not at all. Do you have a choice? Well, no. I don't think you do have a choice. This is happening. Your organization is joining the global automated production, distribution, and service engine. And concept to cash value chain is the key that will enable you to be a part of that. So how to approach this? Where to start? The first thing to do is to train your executives, middle management, and teams on the concept to cash value chain and the economics of the concept to cash value chain. If you don't do that, you're going to fight the whole time for budget, understanding, and people that don't know what you're going on about. Okay? If you don't get that right, huge problems ahead. And you don't get it right by just doing it once. You have to do it over and over and over and over and over, and after a while, people start to really get it. Pick a value stream to start on. And you can make this a difficult one, a critical one. Okay, it helps because you've got critical mass in the organization. Once you picked your value stream to start on, you must create safety for that value stream. Because what they'll do is they're going to break your organization's rules. They're going to break all those rules that have been set up. And if you don't create safety for them to break the rules, you're going to have a big problem. Lastly, you move from standing army structures with dedicated programs. The kind of processes you want are lean and agile, but I don't care what you call it. What you need to put into place is continuous improvement. If you don't have continuous improvement, you're not going to succeed. That's the key, is continuous improvement of your concept to cash value chain efficiency. You can definitely use tools and contractors to speed the transition because these are not dependent on your specific business rules. And lastly, you need transformational leadership. Either you already have it, or you need to get it, or you can pretty much forget it. Okay, this is key. So, will you invade the future, or will you be invaded by the future? It's going to be an interesting couple of years ahead, and we look forward to going through it with you. Thank you.